And our senses, what you're going to have now is you're going to have 2 examples of poems that you're going to have to write. So this is the creating section. So if you remember the different ways of imagery, it's identifying, interpreting, and it's creating. And that's really what we're trying to get to you to do, is creating. The same way we have you create stories or newspapers. You have to create a way of communication to create meaning. The first poem we're going to learn and talk about is called a haiku. So it's a Japanese poem, and it has only 3 lines, right? But it also is pretty restrictive. So it only has 3 lines, so you don't have to write on and on and on, but it is restrictive in how you have to set it up. It has a very strict syllable count. So remember, syllables is how many beats are in a word. So for instance, remember, syllable has, clap it out, syllable. It has 3 beats into the word. The first line will only have 5, the second 7, the third line 5. Right? It's very strict. So I got some emails this past week saying like, is it okay if I use 7 or 8? For that other one, yes. For this one, no, you have to stick to this. And I know you might have already done it. Well, then an easy day for you guys. It doesn't rhyme. More importantly, it's usually about nature. Haikus are all about connecting you with the imagery of nature. And that is why we're using haikus today. So even without this picture, cover it up with your hand. Let's just talk about this poem. Little frog among rain-shaken leaves, are you too splashed with fresh green paint? Doesn't rhyme, but let's talk about things that we see. Little frog, a descriptive word. It tells us about the size and about the creature. We should all know what frogs are like, so we know how small it is and what it is. Rain-shaken leaves. So it's going to be near or on top of some sort of leaf, right, that's covered with water because it just rained. Splashed with fresh green paint. So we know that it's looking, the leaves and the tree, so the leaves and the frog are green. So it's giving us that imagery in 3 lines and only 17 syllables. This is our code. The first line has 5 syllables, second has 7, third has 5. So let's do this together. All right. So first of all, we need to get a topic. So our topic is usually something in nature. This could be about anything. I'm going to pick the ocean, right? Sure, why not? Okay. I'm going to pick the ocean. I'm just going to change the color. Okay. So again, I'm going to pick nature, but I'm going to focus on the ocean. Now, what I suggest is your next step is that you do what's called a word association. Write down as many words as you can about the topic of nature. So, about oceans. So you're going to say water, you're going to say salt, you're going to say fish. You're going to say, now I hope you're thinking about stuff as I say this. Even by saying the word ocean, maybe you're thinking about how big it is, how grand or vast. Right? Because we don't use words like big in ELA. We grade 6, we can use better words. Water, salt, fish, grand, vast, blue. Great suggestion. Who's probably listening? Thank you, Juanita. Dania, yeah, what do you think about when you think about the ocean? Yes, you think about maybe sand. I don't know if you're going to say that, but I wrote it down anyways. Okay? Honestly, that's all we need because it's a small poem. Then we want to start thinking about what goes together. All right? What goes together, what kind of doesn't fit? Now, the only thing to me that really doesn't fit is this idea of sand. So I'm trying to cross it out. I can't find the cross out. Right there. Okay, so we're not going to use that, but everything else we'll try to incorporate somehow. So if we're talking about the ocean, we want to describe it in 5 syllables or less. So what I suggest is you write down one of the words. I'm going to say water. How many syllables are in water? So let's count it out. Water, water. So there's 2 already, which means we just need 3 more words. 3 more syllables, not even. 3 more syllables that describes the water. Right? Water is what? Is it warm? Is it cold? Right? So then the next thing we want to think about is we want to think about describing words. Word association words. Association words. Okay? So describe the water, right? Let's say cold water. Cold water Now think about what else. What's happening to the cold water? I know this sounds like a crazy person talking when I can't take suggestions. But let's say cold water around, right? We're surrounded by cold water. Now let's get, so we already got water. We can talk about salt. We can talk about the color, right? Maybe we can talk about the fish. So we have 5 syllables. Cold water around. Now let's talk about what else? Maybe let's talk about fish. I want to talk about fish. So let's say home for many fish. Now I don't know if that's right yet, but I wrote it down because it makes sense in my head, and now I just have to change the syllable count. Home for many fish is 5, right? So let's think about how we can describe these fish with 2 syllables, right? Home for many large fish, well that's only 6. I got one. Home for many different fish. And just like that, we have our 7, right? And the last line, let's think about it. We described the fish, we described the water. We can even combine basically the leftover words, right? Blue, salty, blue, salty. Well, let's say, also has to kind of make sense. Grand, blue, salty. So grand is 1, blue, salty is 4. Now we need one more word. What are we describing? We're describing the ocean, or another word for ocean is sea. There we go. And then we got a haiku. So all we did was we started with a topic. We thought about all the words we could. Then we just described these words as best as we can, right? We just described what kind of water we had. We put it in. We try to fit it in like a puzzle. That's how I always suggest it. Okay? Write it down. Write down your first instinct and then reduce it. So for line 2, I could have just said I wanted to describe about fish. So I could say is fish stay in the ocean as a home. Now if I count out the syllables, fish stay in the ocean as a home. Well, that's 9, right? So I have to take some syllables out. Fish stay, well maybe I can say this. Fish in the ocean as a home. Fish in the ocean as a home. We need one more. Fish use the ocean as home. 1, 2, we got 7, right? So we just put out a sentence that relates to the topic, and we just change the words until it still makes sense, and we have a functional sentence. And just like that, we had a poem, right? That was a bit longer, but we're going to do the same thing for this one. So sorry I shouldn't have deleted that. I wanted a better slide. Ignore this. Okay, so 5 senses poem. 5 senses poem, what they have is they will obviously be about 5 lines, and they will describe the senses. So first you need a topic. You usually need an event. Okay, so maybe you just celebrated something over Eid. Maybe it is your weekend. Maybe it is your last time you played a sport. Maybe it could be about anything in the world. That's a beautiful thing. It's usually describing an event, right? It's going to be an event. And so our topic is going to be, let's say, making cookies, because it's easy because of taste, right? So then again, you're just going to try to start thinking about what you taste when you make cookies. Okay, so we're going to go word association. Or you know what? I'm going to call it brainstorm related words. Words. Okay, so what does that mean? So that can mean, what do you taste? You taste maybe chocolate, you taste the sugar, you taste the cookie dough, so on and so forth. Once again, brainstorm related. What do you touch? Right? Maybe you crack the egg, and you can feel the yolk. You you mix the dough, right? And you can feel that in your hands. Okay, I'm just going to move this up so we have some room. So again, what do we smell? Well, what we smell is we smell the cookies cooking, obviously, right? We smell We smell the vanilla. Maybe you have vanilla in your cookies. You smell the sugar and the chocolate. I'm using chocolate for all of these. What kind of sounds are there? Well, once again, we talked about the cracking of the egg. We can do that again, right? You have the cracking of the egg. What else do we hear when we cook? Do we hear the scraping of the bowl? We hear it when we turn on the oven. We don't have room for that, but you get the point. And the very last one is, what do we see? Right? What do we see when we cook it? Make cookies. Maybe we see the chocolate chips bubbling. Maybe we see the burning. Maybe you burned your cookies. I've done that before. So right now we have a list of everything we can taste, touch, and see. All you need now is a title. Baking cookies. Sure. It doesn't have to be too complicated, right? And then from there you just phrase it. Pick one. I can taste the cookie dough off of my spoon. I feel the egg crack as I smash or smack it against the bowl. Right, what else? We just keep going through, and that's all it takes, right? I smell the vanilla that I put into the mixture. Let's make this a little bit smaller. Okay, this will be smaller too. Keep going. What do you hear? Right? I hear the scraping of the bowl as I reach, or I try to get every last amount or bit of cookie dough. And I finally see the cookies in the oven, right? Bubbling. Cooking. Bubbling. There you go. Now the last thing what I do is I recommend is you kind of have this, now you want to think about the order of events. So when I make cookies, the first thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to taste the cookie dough off my spoon. So I'm going to actually change that, and I'm going to put it right here. Okay? Just because when you think about it, it has to have some meaning to it too. I'm creating the imagery of taking you through the entire process of it. So what do I do first? I'm probably going to crack the eggs. I'm going to make my mixture. Right? Then I'm going to scrape the bowl, and I can hear the scraping of the bowl. Right? Maybe I'm scraping of the spoon. Maybe that's even better. Of the spoon on the bowl. As I try to get every last bit of cookie dough. Then you taste the cookie dough off your spoon, and then finally you can see the cookies in the oven. So once again, all it does is you find an event, you brainstorm words related to taste, touch, smell, sound, and sight. You make sentences out of them, and you try to order them together so they flow logically. And that's the 2 poems you have to make. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'd be more than happy to help. And we're going to share these on Tuesdays, and I'm looking really forward to what you guys have created.